Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to a video where I not yet know how I call it. Usually I wanted to call it Vinyl Finds plus The Shrink Must Go episode 4. Because I was vacationing in the Netherlands and usually I always take one day off from the vacation and say, honey, I'm gone for the day to Rotterdam record shopping. Don't expect me for dinner. This is usually the way I go. And the fun part is once I'm done with shopping, I'm going to a nice bar, have a nice drink, whiskey sour or something like this, and enjoy what I bought. This year was different. I was expecting to have, because when I'm doing record show, I buy piles and piles of records. So I've learned to park the car nearby the record stores. I have my bags ready and all of this. And usually the record owner, stores owner remember me and saying, oh, that's a Souldisco lady, because I, buy a lot of stuff. Because price-wise and also selection-wise, these stores are great. And there are some other stores in Rotterdam I visited this time. And why I'm not calling this video Vinyl Finds plus The Shrink Must Go, because I bought only 2 albums. And this is very unusual for me. But I've learned something new in this day, and that's also a very good thing. But let me tell you a story. So I went to Rotterdam, parked the car nearby, had my bags ready, was there, for the first time in 3 years doing COVID and all some stuff, But anyway, I was there. I was happy. I was ready to go. And I shot some footage, which you will see at the end of my talking clip. So, ready to go. I was also looking forward doing a video with you and showing you guys what I found and maybe opening up some records, some shrinks, and that we were having a good time. So I was eager to go. I got into the first record store and went upstairs. There's 2 floors. Went upstairs into the soul and disco section. There was also the jazz section. They also have the classic section and the common section, David Bowie and all of that. And I got upstairs and the first thing I saw was some Frank Zappa. So if you're into Frank Zappa, they had Frank Zappa and Frank Zappa bootlegs up there. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, so I got there, went straight to the soul and disco section, and I was flipping through the bins. And I was surprised to see so many reissues. I was like, oh, that's much. Whereas now, so next bin. And again, I found a lot of common stuff, tons of Barry White, Bonnie M, Baccarat, so really very common things. Diana Ross and the Supremes, the Anthology, and, very common stuff. And usually when I went there, I had that was an album of the Sweet Inspirations I didn't know. Oh, that's cool, Funkadelic, I didn't know. Some other things, and I had a pile. So this time I had like 3 or 4 records which I found, and cover-wise they were beaten up. Some of them punched and really beaten up, and for 15 euros. So anyway, I had these records, 3 or 4, went into the classic section because usually there is nobody, and this time there was also nobody. So I was putting out the records and checking them in the light, and I was like, whoa, this is a very beaten up record. I mean, scratches all over the place. And I'm not a choosy or a very picky person when it comes to vinyl. So 95% of my collections are secondhand records, and records like I got while I was going through bins on the floor where, like, in decades nobody really looked at. So for me it was very important to get a record cleaning machine because they were dirty as hell. But anyway, I'm not super picky, but I was looking at the first record and I was like, no, I'm not going to buy this for 15 euro, it's beaten up. Got the next record and I was like, whoa, this one is also no. Next. So I ended up with like 0 records because I wasn't willing to pay this kind of price for such a beaten up record, and I was sure that on the quiet parts you could hear the clicks and pops because some of these scratches were really deep. So I was standing there like, okay, this is a premiere. I'm in a record store and found nothing, but I got into the Ike and Tina Turner section because I was looking for a specific album. Didn't find the album, but what I found was Ike and Tina Turner live in Paris, recorded at the Olympia in 1971. The vinyl was in very good condition, the album was in very good condition, and the price tag is still on. It cost me €17.50, which is a common price between €15 to €20. You get a very decent record. So, and he also put in a new sleeve and all of this. So I'll open this up. Anyway, you can't go wrong with this record. And at the Olympia, all the great acts recorded there, and that's a great show. And he knew me from the years before. And he was like, you only found one record. And I was like, yeah, I'm also a little confused. And I say, oh, there's the new arrival's been made. I can have a look at this. And he said, yeah, go through it. There was a J.J. Barnes record, which I was looking for years now. And it was €50. Looked at the cover. Cover was okay. Looked at the record and full of scratches, scuffings, everything. And I looked at him and I said, wow, €50. And he said, well, you might have seen that we have a lot of reissues upstairs. You might have seen that the overall quality from the records you're used to see here are 2 grades below what we usually have. And I said, yeah, that's exactly my impression. And he said the demand for vinyl is so high that they now have to buy collections with records where the grading is not so good. And they say this, even they sell it. So when there's a demand in the market, they're also business people, they sell it. And I say, yeah, I understand this, but I'm honestly, I'm a little in a shock. It's a life-threatening thing, but honestly, that's wow. And I said, what I also really don't get is, I'm soul and disco, and I thought that this genre is still a little niche next to jazz and heavy metal and on the Black Sabbaths and all of this, the Led Zeppelins and all of this. And he says, in the last 3 years, the demand for, especially not disco so much, but for soul, late 60s, 70s soul is skyrocketing. And I was like, wow, yeah, I see it at the pricing and what I get for my price, and the selection you have, which is actually not there. You have the common stuff, but not usually. When I was going through there, I was finding some great stuff, but this time I didn't. And he was having a record there for a price. I was like, I bought this Soul Perfection Betty Harris record a couple of years ago. I'm not so sure, for €20 or €50. I don't know exactly. I can't remember. Now this one starts at around €250. Well, yeah. So I thought I was safe in my soul and disco niche and still can enjoy good records, good quality records, in a good shape, for a decent price. He said, sorry to say this, but these days are gone. They're just gone. And well, yeah. So I got out of that store, I went into the next store, and it was the same picture. I went through the bins, and yeah, there were all the funkadelics, usual stuff you find of them. There were Aretha Franklin, Who's Zooming Who, some of that stuff. But that's it so far. And my personal highlight of this whole thing was, and I had to make a picture of this, was this record of Martha and the Vandellas, Black Magic, is a very common record, at least from my perspective. I see it very often in the record stores in Germany, in the Netherlands, in France, on the record fairs. I see it there between 5 to €15 in a very good shape. In this record store, they had a very unique version of that record because the corners of the cover were eaten by a rat or a mice, I'm not so quite sure, and the record was still 15 euro. That was my personal highlight of the day. Okay, so got into another record store, and they had a box up there with gospel music. I'm also into gospel music, and I found the Glenna Session record for $10. Everything good, great shape, $10, wonderful. And I also asked them some, Souldisco, and he said, forget it. It's also like jazz and all the other things. If we have collection who we get in, it's usually gone within a few days, and then it's gone. I said, wow, yeah, that's wow. So after a couple of hours, and the Moscow Mule later, because I had my drink anyway, because I bought 2 records, I went back to the beach, and I was like, wow, that was maybe I had a bad timing, but anyway, I do hope that at a certain point this price increasing thing is going a little down. It's insane. I for myself, even if I find a record there which I don't know, where it sounds good, but when it's totally beaten up and it's still 15 euro, I just leave it there, because okay, I can clean it, but I won't fix the deep scratches. There's no way of doing it. So I put it on my turntable and say, okay, I paid 15 euro, and I have it like every round, like click. Yeah, click. Yeah. Wow. When I was in the last record store I was in, they had a real highlight, and that was the Baby Hughes story. Always wanted to have that record as an original. It's a great record. Unfortunately, the singer died before the record was finished. So Curtis Mayfield was trying his magic, and he created a great record. So the originals are very rare, and the pricing is between 250, and I've seen it for 500 euro. Anyway, they had the original there, and I was like, oh, holy smokes. Can I see that record? It was on a holy moly wall. He said, of course, but I have to warn you, it's expensive. And I said, okay, what's expensive for you? And I said, here's $300. I looked at the cover, and everything was great. Great shape, some scuffing on the corners, but anyway. So I put out the record, and there was a huge scratch on track 1 and track 2. And I was like, oh, it has a scratch. He said, yeah, we know. And then I thought, well, why is it not possible to put a note on the cover and saying, hey, we are aware there's a scratch, we just want you to make aware of before you buy it. That would have been nice, because other stores, and I think you will see in the footage, at one store he put a huge sticker on the record and say, listen before you buy, because this record is having noise or whatever. Anyway, so, and he said, well, we played it, you can't hear it in the silent parts, so don't worry about it. But yeah, I have to believe him anyway, so of course I didn't buy the record, because it was just for me to holding the original in hand and looking at it was a great thing. But anyway, I'm a little, usually I'm the one that's saying, hey, I'm Souldisco, you have your price wars up there. I can still find a great record for $10 in great shape, VG++ on near mint minus, having no big deal with it. And now I'm going to my one of my favorite record stores in the Netherlands, where I made great records back in the day for 5 euros, for 10 euros, like, stacks of records for very cheap, or for responsible or good price. And then I got there and saying, well, these days are over. So we will see what will happen. Anyway, I said I have some footage for you. You will see that at the end. During some copyright issues with YouTube, I had to put on some music. And enjoy the footage. I hope you enjoyed my little video. I'm still figuring out how I call it. But have a nice week. Stay safe, stay healthy. Listen to good music. Maybe Ike and Tina. And I see you next week with another episode of Hidden Jewels of Soul and Disco. And also don't forget, on October the 15th, so next Saturday, we'll be having our second Soul stream with Miss Lady Soul and John from the UK. And I can hardly wait for it. So anyway, I see you next time. Enjoy the footage, and bye.
Yeah. No. 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 Yeah. No. Yeah. No. 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 Yeah.